For the last few episodes, we've been deep inside the mechanics of predictive policing, how data becomes a forecast, and how bias becomes an algorithmic echo. But what if we flip the purpose? What if instead of predicting crime, we use data to predict need, to target not punishment, but prevention? Today on Curious Modeling, we're exploring predictive prevention, how analytics can be used to build safer, fairer, and more resilient communities. At its heart, predictive prevention is about reimagining the goal of analytics. Instead of asking, where will crime happen, it asks, where can we intervene before it does? The same modeling techniques, spatial clustering, regression, machine learning, can forecast indicators of social risk, unemployment surges, housing instability, school dropout patterns, or even spikes in mental health crises. It's the same math, just a different mission. Think of predictive prevention like public health. We already use data to identify populations at higher risk for disease, then target vaccines or resources. Social analytics can do the same for violence or crime, not to label individuals, but to flag conditions. A neighborhood where eviction filings spike, that's a stress signal. An area where youth program attendance drops, that's a vulnerability pattern. By modeling those factors, we can intervene early, through social supports, not surveillance. Cities like Los Angeles, Baltimore, and Oakland have already begun experimenting with this shift. Instead of predictive policing, they're developing predictive prevention dashboards, tools that combine housing, education, and health data to identify where to direct services. For example, predicting which neighborhoods are most likely to experience retaliatory violence, so outreach workers can mediate conflict, using rental and utility data to flag areas at risk of mass eviction, or analyzing heat exposure and income data to plan cooling centers during summer spikes. The idea is simple but powerful. Prevention is still prediction, just with a different outcome variable. Technically, these models aren't very different from what we've seen in policing. Regression, clustering, decision trees, the same methods apply. What changes is the label, what we choose to predict. When your Y variable is likelihood of eviction or youth disconnection, the model becomes a guide for social action rather than enforcement. It's a reminder that math doesn't have a moral compass. We give it one by defining what matters. Of course, even prevention analytics comes with ethical questions. Who controls the data? What happens to communities labeled at risk? And can resource allocation itself become biased? If the same neighborhoods are constantly flagged for intervention but not given agency in designing solutions, we're just repackaging the same imbalance under a friendlier name. That's why predictive prevention must include community voice, not just as data points, but as partners. A healthy predictive prevention system has 3 stages. Stage 1 is detection. We want to identify patterns of risk or emerging social stress. Stage 2 is intervention. We're deploying resources like mental health support, youth programs, or housing aid. And stage 3 is evaluation. We are measuring impact and making an effort to adjust. It's the same continuous feedback loop we use in science, but applied to social well-being. Instead of reinforcing cycles of policing, we build cycles of prevention. Predictive prevention reframes analytics as a tool for human flourishing. It doesn't ignore risk, it contextualizes it. It says, the goal isn't to forecast blame, it's to forecast opportunity. When done right, this kind of data science can help cities allocate limited resources where they'll do the most good, not just where the loudest problems appear. The same algorithms that once tried to predict crime can predict hope. Because the real power of modeling isn't just to see the future, it's to change it. Predictive prevention is about using data not to control people, but to empower them. And maybe that's what justice through analytics could look like.